Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up. The line's wrapped around the stadium. Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill. Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome into a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, that's Mike Green. Mike Green. We're talking play-by-play NBA guys. I was listening to Jason Jackson last night on the way home. Welcome into a Monday morning. We're built by R&B Builders. Full house. The carpoolist queen, Katie, is here. We've got Lloyd here. We've got Stewie here. Whoa, Stewie.
Oh, stinging.
We were talking NBA play-by-play guys, and last night I was coming home from Mobile. I didn't get home till late. Jordan had a basketball tournament, and we were listening to Heat Celtics on the way home. We didn't get into like the second half, and Jason Jackson, who is the play-by-play guy for the Heat, is fantastic. He's awesome. And I came to know Jason Jackson when LeBron signed with the Heat, was watching LeBron all the time, and he was like the sideline reporter for them. And he would have, he would interview Bosh, Wade, and LeBron all the time and had a really good relationship with them. And the producer for last night's NBA game in studio, or at least on the Heat call, and they were playing it on the NBA Sirius channel, was Dan Day, who is a former colleague and coworker
legend.
of mine, legend at Guarantee. We spent, I think Dan and I spent probably a decade, 8 years at least together.
I'd love to be a fly on that wall.
I mean, we had some remotes.
Buzz.
We did some remotes at the Spanish Moon when we first started working together that were legendary, man.
Why there?
Because that was his client.
There?
Well, Dan was he was on the rock station. He was on Eagle 98.1,
Okay.
and he was kind of like
Cutting edge.
He is like the radio DJ that you love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can turn it on whenever you need to.
They still had old hits from him. They're like, it's
turns
too
it
good.
off, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, bro, what's up, man?
Cut that
This
mic,
guy
man.
is unreal. I mean, he's awesome, and he was producing the NBA game last night because he moved to Miami a couple of years ago. I mean, like probably 2 years before I left Guarantee, he left and moved down to South Beach, and he was on like with Levitard and Stu Gotts, and I was
Ticket?
like, yes, he was on the ticket. He was on $7.90 the ticket, And Dan and we would be, like trading text messages, and I would be listening to Stu Gotts and
Dan,
Levitard's podcast, and like this guy Steven Zaslow would come on, and Zaslow would be talking about his new quirky producer, and they would call him D-Day, and I was just kind of like, I didn't even think of it, and then they brought up Dan's name, and I mean it was just crazy, the crossover, and to see him now on the NBA game was awesome.
That's so cool.
It's cool, man.
Did you talk to him?
It's cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was texting him last night. Yeah. He's like, yeah, man, that's me. But it's great, man. It was great to hear from him. Everybody have a good weekend?
great weekend.
Yeah.
Good weekend's all award.
Weekend was good.
How about my man Block? The PGA.
Nobody had
David
a better
Block?
weekend.
Is it David Block?
I think he's just Coach Block. Because he was a PGA Tour, like he wasn't even
Did you hear this story?
What
This
happened?
guy is like a PGA
Professional
like
teacher.
like at a country club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
He's
I mean,
the golf pro
He's like the
somewhere.
golf
Michael Block.
Okay.
Exactly, Michael Block. He charges $150 an hour for private lessons.
Okay.
He qualified for the PGA Championship.
Whoa.
Like, you could qualify. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
anybody can go try out,
Yeah.
like, go enter the U.S. Open, like, so he qualifies
Noted.
for the PGA
360
and is
days
in the
away.
last group yesterday playing with Rory McIlroy.
Not the last group. He was.
But, I mean,
yeah,
one
he
of the
was
last one.
in one of the premier groups.
One of the premier groups, goes 18 holes with Rory's gallery. I mean, like, this is like modern day
Yeah,
Tiger Woods.
Right.
Right? And plays incredible. Hits a hole in one
And didn't know he did it.
and, like, flies it. Does
Dunks it.
Like, dunks, like, jumps
Really?
on puts it into the hole off the tee. And ends up coming. I mean, he finishes in the top. He probably took home $300,000
Oh my God. Good for him.
yesterday. I mean, but
That's
one of
such a
these
cool
stories that
story.
you're like, man. I mean,
Yeah.
like a legitimately like tin cup.
That's
You know
Yes,
what I mean?
awesome, yeah.
absolutely.
Like a legitimate tin cup.
That's so cool.
I mean, this guy's got like going into Sunday thinking he's got a shot to win it. Now Brooks Koepka becomes the first live golfer to win a major championship.
It was only a matter of
As,
time.
Brooks had it kind of slip out of his hands in Augusta a month ago. I mean, he openly admitted it. I gagged. I choked.
And that's what made me bet on him for this week, because if you're that transparent with yourself, that means you're in a really good spot with your golf game. Where he was doing an interview with Pardon My Take, and they asked him, like, is it fair to say you choked? He goes, say it, scream it. Like, I choked. Like, there's no other way to put it.
Well, I think Liv cut him the highest check of all of him and Dustin Johnson, I heard, got
Well,
the
Phil
most.
got like the big, like
Sure,
the nest
the big
egg.
chunk. Well, I mean, Phil got him to go recruit,
Right.
right? And then Brooks
Brooks and DJ.
Dustin Johnson got the biggest payday, like
Those are the only
$100
two.
million. I
Yeah,
heard.
yeah,
I mean,
yes.
like a lot of money.
Those are the only two that could, if this PGA Tour live thing seems like it's dying down a good bit, this will probably be the one to either, just all quells aside, because Brooks even talked about it's like, amongst the players, it's not a big deal. Like, they tried to make this big media frenzy that it's us against them. He's like, I'm cool with all the guys in the locker room. Like, y'all did this. It's not really a thing amongst the players, but y'all can do the
Sure.
media thing as much as you want. So this was Liv's chance, I guess. That's why they got DJ and Brooks. Those are the two dominoes to fall to where if the PGA was nervous about them coming in and winning a major, it was going to be one of those two guys. And Brooks turns out to be the one to be the first Live Tour player to win a major. And he's going to be, I mean, he got booed to hell and back on Saturday, but it was because he was paired with Bryson, and nobody likes Bryson DeChambeau.
He
And
doesn't.
Well, yeah, and he's tried to like bury the hatchet or whatever, but you can still tell the way he talks. He's like, I mean, it's whatever. We're cool, but we ain't getting,
Guy's a clown.
Yeah, we're not getting dinner together.
Right.
So that was a lot of it was misconstrued as probably Brooks being booed or the Live Tour being booed. It's probably just Bryson. But if Brooks has like a pretty big contingency of followers that people either love him or hate him because he wears everything on his sleeve. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks.
I love him.
Yeah, and that's what Live Golf is supposed to be, so he's perfect for that. And he
Netflix-
gets to make a ton of money.
Netflix did the PGA behind
Full
the
swing.
scenes series, Full Swing, and I thought for at least what I took away from it was I fell in love with Koepka. I mean, really, I thought that he was the most human. He was the most relatable. You could see him going through the struggles. You could see him trying to fight through somebody that was on top of the world in the game of golf to really nearly losing it. I mean, he nearly lost his game completely through, just the mental part and the physical breakdown of the game. And to see him get it back I love it. I thought that was a great story for Brooks Koepka. All right, here locally, closer to home, remember our phone lines brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. We're going to catch up with Doug Thompson here during the 7 o'clock hour. As always, Dougie's Spot brought to you by the Louisiana Firefighters Association. We'll talk to Doug about LSU, who's going to be in Hoover. Obviously, LSU going to be in Hoover, and they will get going on Wednesday morning. The Tigers will get going Wednesday morning as they are the number 3 seed, as they'll open up play on Wednesday morning at 9:30 is scheduled for the first pitch, as they will take on either the 6th-seeded South Carolina Gamecocks or the 11th-seeded Georgia Bulldogs, who LSU just took 2 of 3 from over the weekend. And it was good for LSU to go up to Athens and take care of business and cruise through on Friday 8-4 to claim the series after another solid outing by Ty Floyd. Josh Pearson came in and had some pretty big hits. But the game of the weekend that I think everybody's talking about is Saturday, where LSU drops Game 3 9-5. Look, it was a very successful regular season for LSU. I don't think that there's any way that you're going to look back on the 2023 edition of LSU baseball and deem its regular season as a failure. In fact, they had the most regular season wins since 2015 in the program. I mean, that is something that is a heck of accomplishment at 42-13 overall and 19-10 in conference play. But this team did close out the season very, very shaky, right? And I thought back in comparison's sake, and I don't know if you can cross over the sports, but I think we can all agree that sports, the majority of it is mental, right? For as much as we, want these athletes to stay in tip-top shape and stay committed to the game and the craft for 365 days a year, and don't let them off the hook if we find out that they're taking vacations and they're not committed and all of this stuff, where you want them to stay physically engaged, it very much is a mental trade. It very much is a mental industry is athletics, right? And I thought back to the 2009 edition of the New Orleans Saints, who for the dominant part of the year, the majority of the season, was the dominant team in the sport, right? I mean, I believe they started 13-0 in that year that they won the world championship. And then late in the season, if you remember, they had 3 bad regular season losses. They lost to Tampa, they lost to Dallas, and they lost to Carolina. All at home. Bad losses. Right? Like losses that you thought maybe going into the playoffs, a team that had been so dominant for the majority of the season, whether or not they were going to be able to get it back. Now, football is a different game than baseball in the sense of how you approach it, but the mental part of sports still very relatable, and still, you're able to cross over and give teaching examples. And I thought a week ago when LSU got knocked off by Mississippi State, I almost thought that it was unrecoverable from where they were from a mental standpoint. I thought a week later they were able to gather themselves and go into a tough spot. Georgia was playing for something. Georgia was playing pretty good as far as they are concerned on the year and where LSU caught them. And LSU's still LSU. When the brand pulls into college baseball stadiums, they are going to get everybody's fiercest punch. And that's not an excuse, that's just the truth. So for them to take 2 of 3 from Georgia, I thought was a win. But for what they left on the field on Sunday and what they had the opportunity to accomplish, I thought was a loss, right? I mean, not just the L in the win-loss column, but just from a mental hurdle that you could have jumped over going into the postseason. I thought it was an opportunity lost for LSU with what they had on the line. They could have won the league. You could have kept Georgia out of the tournament. And you could have given yourself a little bit more confidence heading into this part of the schedule. Now, I listened to Jay Johnson last night, Lloyd. You can speak a little bit further on this on Hold the Rope. It seems as if he's still in, I don't want to call him experimental mode because he's trying to win every time the ball goes up, but it still feels like he's okay with where they are going into this part of the year, at least from a mental standpoint. Because as LSU now sets sail here on their postseason journey, which begins Wednesday morning at 9:30, wondering whether or not they're going to be able to find it is those days are gone.
Right. I mean, and to say they're gone I wouldn't say is entirely true because they've accomplished what they wanted to. They set out to win 2 of 3 versus Georgia, and the biggest game was on Thursday night. That's whenever you saw their feet against the fire. LSU had to win because you feel like the way that LSU's constructed at the moment, you have to win the skiing start. You have to win the skiing start because after everything else, and it'll go to my next point later, but after everything else, you kind of feels like it's a 50-50. But after you get the Skeens win, LSU battled that entire game to be able to win it because Skeens I don't want to say he got roughed up, but he got touched, and that's usually not something that you expect to happen, to even give up 2 runs. But if you're going to hit an ace, that's how you do it. You hope you run into 1 or 2 and get a 2-run lead, and maybe you get a little juice in the dugout, and then all bets are off. But Skeens was able to settle back in. LSU gets a massive home run from Pearson, and LSU is able to go up 1-0. And at that point, it's win the series, and you're guaranteed a top 8 seed, and you're guaranteed to basically be able to rest your guys an extra day and get the double bye for the SEC tournament. And so check both boxes because Ty Floyd was excellent on Friday. And so while the picture isn't completely painted, a lot of the crux of the image is there, where you feel very confident in Skeens, you feel very confident in Ty Floyd, and now it comes down to the third day. They're still trying to mix and move around, and I feel like they'll experiment a little bit in the SEC tournament because you have really nothing to gain from winning the SEC tournament or exposing yourself to teams that you're going to see in super regional Omaha because it's a bevy of SEC teams.
Well, I mean, you could argue that Hoover is Omaha.
Right. So why you don't really need to, you can tinker there and see what works against what. You got Skeens, you got Floyd. Okay, those two things are set in stone. And so for LSU, even with their lineup, Pearson is at this point playing his way into the lineup.
No doubt.
Travinsky is playing his way into the lineup. And you saw Cade Beloso at first, and he's been DHing all year. That was another spot where it seems like we're tinkering because Beloso had some high throws, some low throws where he had to battle over there at first. And you can see he hadn't played the position very much this year. So there's still some tinkering to be done, but it's all moves that either make you an A- A team or A+ team. It's not, if he's not in, what are they going to do? It's just it's a chess match. And if Jay makes the right moves at the right times, you have a lineup that you feel confident in every time they roll the ball out, except on Sunday. It's still at this point, like Javen Coleman went out and threw. You don't know how many innings you'll be able to get out of him, what his role is. And honestly, I don't know what they're going to do with Thatcher Hurd because it seems like you found his role, but if you want to elevate him one more to the Sunday starter, that seems to be in the cards too. But he's been nails.
He has.
Coming out the pen.
That was a great performance for him on Friday.
And to go, he threw 75 pitches.
Yeah.
That's basically an extended start.
And rode the roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
he fought through it.
And I think that's a testament to Jay for not being, because he's been quick on the trigger to be like, all right, get him out, get him in. The only thing that you haven't really seen come to fruition has been
Christian Little.
Man. As good as he was early on.
Yeah, what's up with him? What happened with
he
him?
can't find it, man.
Just because of the way he pitches, he relies a lot of off-speed stuff, and he tries to be too fine with his fastball. And so if you don't have either,
he's missing by an eyelash. I mean, he's right there too. You know what I mean?
But it's just far enough out to where you can't
argue it. Yeah, you can't argue it. Right.
And then he gets down in the count, and then he can't rely on that. He loves to throw that slider for it, where it just tails off, and it's a great pitch, but if it's not for a strike, you almost have to pull him. And so if they could get it, I don't know. It might be too late to get him right, but
they don't want to give up on him.
No, they keep come on,
come on, man.
Yeah,
show me why you got you out the portal.
I mean, we're gonna throw you out there again.
Rewind the tape. This is you at Vanderbilt. But even without Christian Little, I think the two takeaways, obviously Blake Money is very comfortable going into the game at any time, and Griffin Herring showed me a lot where it's like, okay, this guy could come in and pitch too. So they're finding other arms wherever. Obviously, you're going to have injuries in baseball. You don't want to belabor the point of, oh, they lost three arms. What are you supposed to do about it? You got other guys in there. You just have to find out how to use them. Griffin Herring coming in and pitched the way he did, and then Blake Money just being that dude that's like, I don't even need to warm up. Like,
Right.
bring me in. I'm ready to throw right now. Like, you know exactly what I have, and I'm coming to get you. And if he gives up 5 singles, he gives up 5 singles. But guess what he's not doing? Putting you on base for free.
Absolutely.
You got to have to earn it.
No doubt.
And so I think I'd take away from the weekend you went out and did what you're supposed to do. You accomplished a lot.
No, I agree. And look, I don't want to come off as someone that doesn't, look, sweeping on the road in the conference is tough to do. And sweeping on the road against, a team that is hungry and motivated and playing for something in the league is even tougher. And for LSU to go into Athens and take 2 or 3 is a very successful weekend. They had a big opportunity on Sunday or on Saturday. Is just my point. I mean, I'm not saying that it was a lost weekend in the sense of what you were able to do. I just thought that it was a lost opportunity for what you had a chance to accomplish, and again take one of those leaps in a confidence hurdle that LSU's looking for at this point in the season. I mean, they need as many, they need as much confidence equity as they can get right now, and being able to close that game out on Saturday, I thought would have done that. But taking 2 of 3 is just what you needed. Right, I mean, taking a sweep would have been almost gravy of what you were hoping to accomplish. So I get it. I understand that. That was a good weekend for LSU, and we'll talk more about it with Doug Thompson coming up here as LSU is going to play Wednesday. There'll be the opening game Wednesday morning at the SEC tournament as LSU will play the winner of South Carolina and Georgia. As we said, the South Carolina Gamecocks are the 6th seed, while Georgia is the 11th seed. And LSU will find out who is the winner of that tomorrow before they play 9:30 Wednesday morning and get their tournament experience going over in Hoover. So stick around. We'll talk to Doug coming up here in a couple of minutes. He'll be here about 7:40-ish, where we will talk to him about his thoughts on Christian Little and that third starter on where LSU may go here now that the postseason has started. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal. PremierSouthLA.com is where you can find them online. Louisiana's premier roofing experts in quality and in service. Residential roofing, commercial roofing, metal roofing. Get in touch with Premier South Roofing today. If your roof's been damaged by a storm, you can schedule a roof replacement in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, New Orleans today. Easiest way to do it is just by logging online, PremierSouthLA.com, PremierSouthLA.com. They had some rain and some hail come through last week. If your roof was affected, let Premier South Roofing jump up on there and let you know what's going on with it. PremierSouthLA.com, PremierSouthLA.com. LSU football got some tremendous news over the weekend, and it is not another transfer. It is someone on their roster who announced on social media that he is fully cleared to return to football activities, and that is defensive lineman Mason Smith, which is a very big development as it now gives him about 2 full months of workouts to get right with no restrictions after suffering that torn ACL in the opening game last year versus Florida State. It was the first defensive series of the 2022 season for Mason Smith. He came in, plugged the hole, made the play. He jumps up to celebrate, comes down on the Superdome carpet, and tears his knee up right there.
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget you jumping up. Like, what just happened? Did he just get hurt? Like, I'll never forget the whole moment. That was wild.
And then the next play, B.J. Ojulari goes down and gets taken into the tent. I mean, like, you saw the 2022 season flash before your eyes within the first defensive series.
What a game.
But Mason Smith, watching him being carried off that field by Bo Lowry and crew was just heartbreaking, man. Heartbreaking for Mason Smith, knowing what you had if you're LSU as a defensive line, and what the potential was for that crew of being together, and then knowing how they performed without him, right? I mean, think of the season that they had last year with guys that are stepping up. You know, guys like Mekhi Wingo obviously was the name that we kept hearing week in, week out. But, I mean, think if you would have had Mason Smith on that line. I mean, it's a brutal game of what if, but no more do you have to play it because it was announced yesterday on social media that Mason Smith, and he is on the revenge tour. Make no mistake about it, that he has, he's circled dates. He has taken this rehab very serious. He has really, dialed in and gotten himself, looking towards getting ready to go for that Florida State game. So, incredible news if you're LSU. I know that these injuries over, the last, probably decade, Adrian Peterson was the first that I ever saw to bounce back off of an ACL and just, do it differently. I mean, he was an NFL running back that came back and, looked as if he had, not been injured, and he did it on a timeline that, we had never seen. Sometime, just sometime a while back, I'd say, probably over a decade ago. I mean, these injuries were, they were up in the air on whether or not they would be, career threatening. On, now most people came back from them, but it was tougher, and the timeline was so against you. I mean, it was without question a year, right? You were going to spend a year rehabbing and reconstructing the knee. And even for an athlete like Mason Smith, who's well over 300 pounds, is, agile and athletic like a ballerina on that 300 pounds, to see him come back 7 months, 8 months after an ACL injury, it's a testament to science. It's a testament to his hard work, obviously, of, knowing what the objective is and getting back on the field. But, man, to have him full go 2 months, I mean, you've got the summer with him. I mean, and really and truly, we had some time in spring, and I think, there was some video that came out for everybody to see. If you saw him running on the side over there, it looked as if he could have been cleared then. I mean, there was some non that like they were going like 3/4 speed in some drills. I mean, not full speed, but not walk through. And I mean, some of the reports that Jamar Cain was letting us know, early on before he had taken the Denver job, of where Mason Smith was, everybody was just freaking out. I mean, on how good he looked, on how far ahead of schedule he is. And then you talk to him and you get an idea of, how motivated he is for this season. This is his money year, man. This is his draft year, right? I mean, I think if he would have stayed healthy last year, he probably would have found himself in a lot of projected first-round mocks, and he probably will still be there. But he's got an opportunity to put himself into a really, really different tax bracket. He can make a lot of money this year.
It doesn't feel like he's a bit of a, if you're not covering the team the way that we do down here or in the local media, that he's a bit of a forgotten man on the national scene whenever he shouldn't be.
Well, I think nationally it makes sense now because he's kind of out of sight, out of mind for a year. People who are not following and covering LSU intently, they may not know the full story on Mason Smith. Some people may look up and be like, oh, wow, he's coming back. I thought that he was gone, Well, because when you look back at when he played, the team wasn't very good, right? Like I would say that the defense wasn't really was kind of a shell of itself. He didn't really even have a position. They moved him inside, they moved him outside. They were just trying to get him on the field, and that's him as a freshman. And then he had a lot of hype coming into his sophomore year where if you're an LSU fan, you're watching going, he's next up. This guy's going to be a game wrecker. And then you get to see him for 3 plays. Right. And then so it's been almost 9 months, 10 months, and you haven't seen anything from him. But the only thing that we've seen from him is a slight glimpse at the spring game where he looked ready to go, like you said. And then what he's been putting on social media, he has his mind set on one thing, and that's kill.
He is like going to come in because I don't think he wants to stay another year.
No.
He wants to come in and go, I'm a top 10, top 5
Sure.
pick in the country or for the NFL draft, and this is my year to prove it.
Right.
Because I'm, like you said, out of sight, out of mind. He's not leading College Game Day. He might have like a hit on, since it's a Sunday night standalone, they might do some sort of feature on him, but that would be the most coverage he's gotten in a year.
And I don't think it's about that for him. You know, I mean,
No, I'm just saying from a national perspective, he's one of the best defensive players in the country, possibly.
But I think it's just a matter of time before all that stuff just kind of catches
Plays
up
itself
because,
out.
You know, I mean, he's too good. He's just too talented. I mean, last year the storyline at this time was that LSU was going to have, for the first time in a while, the 3 top defensive linemen in the state of Louisiana on one line of scrimmage, right? You had Jaquelin Roy, you had Mason Smith, and you had Quincy Wiggins, all recruited, signed, committed to LSU at the same time. That has been a minute since that has happened, right? I mean, if one thing that Ed Orgeron stuck to his word when he got the job was that he said he was going to rebuild the defensive line and he was going to make LSU a respected defensive line program once again. And he has done that as far as leaving the blueprint on, you know, look, you got to go get Mason Smith. You got to go get Jaquelin Roy. You got to go get B.J. Ojulari. You got to go get these guys from a defensive line standpoint that's going to give LSU the reputation of, you know, what they usually are when they're playing at their best. So, you know, Hayden Paris, everyone's a first rounder in Jordy's book. Maybe so, but Mason Smith definitely is.
Yeah, I wouldn't back off that take.
Right. Maybe so for sure, but I'm not gonna bail off of Mason Smith. I think he definitely is one. Appreciate all the love on the Brian Kelly interview as well. Great job, Lloyd. I want to make sure,
Great
and
job,
I want to give one thing that I wish we would have done is that I wish we would run credits on the people that had a part in this, including Lloyd in the post-production of it, who was able to clean it up. But I have to give a great big thank you and shout out to, first off, Darren DeQuano from WAFB, who has become kind of our lead production camera guy over here as far as when we are doing something. He helped us out with the Dawn of a Legacy, with the Zachary Woodlawn production last year. We've got a Central football documentary in production right now with new head coach David Semino, who just wrapped up his first spring over at Central on Friday night with their spring game. Darren is our lead producer on that. And then obviously with this Brian Kelly interview, I went to Darren first and told him what I wanted, and Darren made it come to light. He told me initially, he said, look, we should maybe think about doing a 2-camera shoot on this. And I called someone who we have worked with in this business before. We did that Mike Anderson's documentary, and Murray Rogers, who is a very talented editor, also a content creator, worked with us on that, and called him and his wife Claire, who work together. They're kind of a husband and wife production team, came in that day, and man, we had it set up as far as the production went. Murray and Claire did their thing from setting up the shoot. Claire was doing some behind the scenes. DeQuano was running one of the cameras. And then we brought it back here to the studio, and Brian Dryden, who is somebody who is doing a really great job for us as far as content production is concerned over here, gave us an idea. He said, look, man, he said, this is good content. You might want to think about doing something a little bit different than what you're normally accustomed to doing, which really kind of took me out of my element. You know, I'm a quick turnaround, drop it, get it out there type of guy. And he said, man, you know, slow play this thing. Let's beef up the production on it. See if you can't drop some B-roll and some of the talking points that Brian Kelly's talking about. Put out some clips during the week and build up the intrigue and the interest. And, you know, it may have worked. It may not have worked. I don't know. But I know that we've gotten great return off of it. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I was in a gym in Mobile, Alabama this weekend and had multiple people from not in or around or from Baton Rouge tell me that they had watched the Brian Kelly interview and that they loved it. So, man, I just wanted to say to everybody that was involved, with the project, including Lloyd and Brian Dryden in post-production, Darren DeQuano and Murray and Claire Rogers in our production team, and also Jake
Ballard.
No, Jake Robinson.
Yeah, Jake Robinson.
Jake
our
Robinson
social media
was
guy, yeah.
was helping us on
Jake
social
from State
media.
Farm.
Who's Jake Ballard?
I was gonna say I thought you meant Jack.
Jack Ballard on
Gave
he
us
helped us out with some B-roll.
Some great B-roll. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure because he didn't have to do that, and we were looking for something. He's like, oh, I have this Alabama footage. I was like, send it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that
it
great.
was great. The perk, like,
Yeah.
and
Mason-
we still have
Mason
some more
Taylor.
stuff in the chamber
Right.
that we can go through and use again because that was he got some great content from being down on the field for that Alabama game, and so it was nice to be able to splice that in, and obviously awesome for him to pass it on to us.
And we appreciate everybody for watching it. And if you haven't seen it, check it out and tell a friend and make sure and give it a like, share, comment. As I'm going to respond to the comments, I'm going to sit down and respond to them. But I appreciate all the interaction, as it was a great interview from our standpoint in the sense of the time. Man, I thought Coach Kelly was so relaxed. I thought he was very easy to talk to. And, I thought, he's very open about his team, right? I mean, that's one thing that I can appreciate about coaches who sit in that seat and answer honestly, right? Or at least honest enough to give you a bit of an evaluation. He's not telling us everything, right? I mean, he's not giving us some of the things that he doesn't want us to know. I mean, there's things that exist like that, right? But for the most part, I thought he was very transparent. I mean, his answer about the depth, his answer about, the numbers. I mean, he did say if there's anything that gives him a little bit of cause of concern for his team, it's the depth. I mean, he said if there's some red flags about what we're doing right now, it's the number of players that they have. They know they're going to be better in late October and November just by the way that they train, just by the way that they practice, just by the way that they run the program. They need to have enough players so if they don't make it physically, that they'll be able to still compete. It sounds like his overarching concern of where they are going into this season. He knows they're good. You can tell when a football coach is confident and knows he's got a good team. Brian Kelly knows he has a good football team. He knows he has one that is capable of competing for a college football playoff. Now, he's going to have to catch some breaks. He's going to have to stay healthy. They're going to have to catch some breaks in certain positions. You can tell defensive backs got him a little bit concerned, right? Probably more than other positions. He's still going to bring in a tight end, as he alluded to. But you can sense that, he loves his team. I mean, without sounding too Les Miles-ish, I like my team. I mean, you can tell that the guy really
Likes his team.
likes his team.
And and since the interview was dropped, he's addressed some of the portal needs that he spoke of.
Right.
Went and got a safety out of the portal.
Andre Sam, who is a Louisiana kid, and I love betting on Colby Richardson. I love betting on Andre Sam. I love betting on Louisiana kids that may feel slighted because how many times have we seen Louisiana kids do better later in their college career and much better in the league? How many times have you looked up and you'd be like, where's that guy from? He's from Northwestern. He's from Southeastern. He's from McNeese. I mean, there's all of these guys that are in the league that are Louisiana that have felt slighted. I mean, I heard Frank Wilson tell a room this exact thing. I also saw Frank Wilson at the Destrehan Carr game on Friday night. Some social media coming out from this. Destrehan Carr game. They've got college coaches, and I'm talking about SEC coaches, walking up to Frank Wilson at this game, asking him to take pictures with them. To give you an idea of the respect in the trade that is now happening for Frank Wilson. He is a legend on the recruiting trail. Young coaches at like Georgia, young coaches at like Florida, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, SEC schools walking up to him, showing him praise and kind of like behind the scenes being like, yo, coach, can we get a picture real quick? I mean, I can't let my head coach know that I'm asking one of our competition to take pictures with it. I'm going to put in my office and on my own personal social media, but you don't mind, do you?
Hell no.
Hell no. Let me flash this L real quick.
Yeah.
but I mean, Destrehan Carr, spring football game. It's crazy. Frank Wilson, they're throwing rose petals at his feet. Not the players, not the parents, not the coaches. The other team's coaches. The other league coaches. Doug Thompson talking LSU baseball next. We'll get back to football in the second hour. Come back with us. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done. Corrects done. Personal injury done. Workers' comp done. Truck wrecks done. Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done.
In 1975, Mike Anderson left the gridiron for the grill, opening a po' boy shop near LSU. If you're from Louisiana, odds are you've tasted a dish, experienced the tradition of Mike Anderson's seafood. 48 years later, the tradition of Mike Anderson's lives on with the next generation.
I'm very thankful.
He's never allowed okay to be okay. It's a driving force for me to just want to keep it as good as he made it.
Mike Anderson's Seafood and WAFB, celebrating the community. All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, driven and built by R&B Builders. Our good friend Doug Thompson checks in with us every single week. We love talking to Dougie, as always. That brought to you by the Louisiana Firefighters Association. As we tell you about them each week, LouisianaFirefighters.com. They are first responders, Louisiana firefighters and first responders as well. They offer free training and consulting services to our community, business owners, teachers, and administrators. Look, they're just trying to make a safer Louisiana. Find out more by logging online to LouisianaFirefighters.com. Each week that Doug Thompson is here, it's brought to you by LouisianaFirefighters.com. Dougie, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jordy. How you guys doing today?
Doing good, Douglas. I'd imagine that this is a great time to be alive and be a college baseball player, right? You have to love this time of the year when school's over and now it's SEC tournament time, and you almost turn into a big leaguer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like professional baseball. It's all about baseball. That's your only focus, and you get to let go of some of that stress with school that is there for everyone, not just students who don't play ball. It's a great time of year.
Douglas, this was a great opportunity for LSU over the weekend to get their confidence right with an SEC road win. They did that, taking 2 of 3 against a very, I would say, confident team in Georgia. They were playing well going into the series. What was your takeaway from LSU taking 2 or 3 from the Dogs?
Yeah, I would call it more motivated Georgia. I mean, they have a lot more, on the line to get into the final 64. So that was going to be everything they had. And I think it was a great weekend that you were able to go into an environment like that and pull 2 wins away. But I think, the biggest blessing of the weekend, perhaps a blessing in disguise, when Thatcher Hurd came in for Paul Skeens, who of course was, unbelievable again. He gives up the 2 home runs there in the 9th, and I'll tell you, if he goes out for the bottom of the 10th and gives up another home run, Thatcher Hurd may be, done for the year. But instead, he gave us the exact opposite. He went 5 innings, had a bunch of strikeouts, didn't walk a lot of guys, 3 hits, 2 runs, and without those 2 home runs, I don't know that you know what I'm saying? I don't know that we see that type of outing from Thatcher Hurd, but he needed that. The pitching staff needed that. The team needed it. And it was just, again, a blessing in disguise that he was able to go out there and be so dominant through that 12th inning.
I thought Griffin Herring gave you some really positive run this weekend as well. What else did you see positive from the pitching staff, Doug?
Well, like I said, I mean, Skeens was really good, and then I didn't get to see much. I was, of course, at the ballpark myself, but I did listen quite a bit, and it sounded like guys got big outs when they needed to, like Griffin Herring. Ty Floyd was pretty good. I watched a few of his innings before I had to go, and he looked pretty good to start it off. And pitched well enough to win, I thought. But other than that, I still think there's a couple question marks out there that we need to find answers to pretty quick. Yeah,
Gavin Guidry came in on Friday again, gave up 2 scoreless, allowed just 1 hit, struck out 3. And you mentioned Ty Floyd again. He moved to 7-0 on the season. He went 7 innings, and he struck out 7, walked 1, so another positive outing for him. Josh Pearson,
right.
He's trying to elbow his way up into the lineup here. What are you seeing from the sophomore as he had some big hits over the weekend?
Yeah, Josh Pearson, there's so many weapons that Jay has to use. And Josh Pearson is certainly one of those weapons. He can run, he can play the outfield, and he can hit. Just a great left-handed bat. So I just see him as just extra depth. I mean, he could absolutely be in the starting lineup any given day, but there's 4 or 5 guys that play that role that are absolutely good enough to start. I don't envy Jay on having to figure out which ones to actually put in the lineup and which ones to hold on the bench.
Man, Jordan Thompson, I know that he made some plays this weekend, Doug, defensively that we've seen from him this season. But what have you seen from him defensively as he has grown this year?
Well, I mean, he's worked his tail off, and that shows in the offseason. One of the main things that Jay Johnson would say in those preseason interviews was that their defense was going to improve, specifically starting with Jordan Thompson. He had worked very hard, and it shows. Hard work absolutely paid off. He's uber athletic. He's got a cannon for an arm. And I think he's, it's the last 2 or 3 weekends, he seems like he might be playing himself further and further up that draft potentially.
Yeah, he made a play Friday night in the hole where
that thing came out like a howitzer.
Morgan, he didn't even move his glove.
Trey Morgan looked at him
on
and
his
was like,
shoulder.
"What was that?"
That
Put
was
a little,
it was
little oomph in that
incredible
one.
play. All right, to Christian Little here, Doug. It's obvious they don't want to. They don't want to give up on him, but he continues to struggle. How do you manage a pitcher in these types of situations on both sides? You've kind of been on both sides of it, where you've been the player and you've been a decision maker. What's it like there?
Well, that's a difficult situation, right? Like at this point in the season, you keep giving kids opportunities first. Mm-hmm. That's what you do as a manager first, especially if you know that they can do it, you've seen them do it, or they've done it in the past. But then you get to a certain point in the season where there's no more opportunity just to see if it can be done, right? So I'm kind of curious to see how much or how many more opportunities Christian Little will see now that the postseason has started. I think that hopefully the Tigers are able to get a big lead, something like that, to give guys like Christian Little the opportunity, because they absolutely are going to need as much depth as they can on their pitching staff. But it's getting to that point in time where you can't afford to put a guy in that you can't trust, in a close ball game in the postseason. There's just not that many games left.
Dougie, how do you feel about him going into this part of the year mentally?
I'm sorry, say that again?
How do you feel about them going into this part of the year, just from a mental standpoint? How do you feel about them approaching postseason right now?
Well, I think that this team, it's a whole new season, right? And so the good news is they can kind of flush the last couple weeks, because none of it really matters at this point. The seedings are done. So I think they're probably, again, they're out of school and all those things. I think they're probably feeling pretty confident. I think that one of those first two opponents, South Carolina or Georgia, I think they're both tough teams. And I'm kind of curious, have you heard yet who they'll start game one?
I have not.
I think he's playing that pretty close to the vest. We had Jay on last night, and he said it's a competitive advantage to not give out your pitching details.
Okay. I wouldn't. I don't know if he's going to start Skeens. Of course, that would be 6 days rest. Because he started on Thursday. So it'll be interesting to see who the Tigers start. I'm not really looking forward to that 9:30 a.m. start in Hoover.
Quick question: what would be the most advantageous schemes-wise to get him ready for when you look ahead to regional play? Would you want to start him on that? Obviously, it's a 1 versus 4 seed. You're not sure who you're going to play. What day would make the most sense if you look at the SEC tournament and try to line it up for the regional tournament? When you'd want to throw him?
Man, guys, I'm so sorry. I've got a terrible echo. Is that Lloyd? I was trying hard to
It's always this microphone on the phone.
It is
I'm
Lloyd.
so sorry. Lloyd, I could not hear the question. There's a bad echo. I'm so sorry.
Let me try again.
Is that better?
Is this better or worse?
No, I can. Lloyd, you're just really
Doug,
jumbled. I can hear you,
okay.
Jordy.
He's asking you about Skeens and the schedule of pitching him. When is the best to? Do you think regional? Do you think ahead when scheduling Skeens? How do you manage that?
Okay, yeah. So the next time he would start, I would get him out there, on his same routine and rest. I wouldn't hold him back necessarily, because you don't want that guy to lose any type of rhythm or routine that he's got going. But when when the regional rolls around, I guess it would depend on opponents and things of that nature. But it's very, 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 very dangerous to hold your horse in the stable for game one of a tournament, especially when it's a horse like that who's a guaranteed win. So that's what I'm really curious to see, Lloyd, is how he'll use him in the SEC tournament. Will it be kind of a start where he tells him it's 5 and he's done, or it's 75 pitches and he's done? Will he try to get him a little bit of a breather, yet keep the routine in place? And then, of course, when the regional fields are set, how will Paul Skeens be used? I think I would start him game one in a regional, and hopefully maybe jump out to a big lead and maybe pull him early would be best case, to have him for that final game if I need him, not necessarily to start, but maybe I don't know. I'm just kind of talking out loud here, but he is definitely the ace. He's the number one ace in the country, and he's such an incredible weapon. How do you use that weapon the best? Again, I'm glad I'm not Jay Johnson to have to make those decisions.
Segment weekly with Doug Thompson, former Tiger ace and current member of the LSU Sports Radio Network, brought to you by the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation, who aim to create a safer community. If you're a decision maker, a teacher, an administrator, and you want a safer Louisiana, log online to LouisianaFirefighters.com. That is LouisianaFirefighters.com. Each week we get an LSU breakdown with Doug Thompson, and it's brought to you by our friends over at Louisiana Firefighters. Dougie, have a good rest of the week. We'll talk soon. Thank you, man.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
There he is, Doug Thompson, checking in on this Monday morning as LSU takes 2 of 3 from Georgia and head off to Hoover, Alabama to take on the winner of Georgia and South Carolina in the opening round, or at least the second round of the SEC tournament, as the Tigers with the 3 seed have a opening round bye and will be Wednesday morning, 9:30. Dougie said he's not ready and not looking forward to that 9:30 first pitch. I'm a morning guy. I look forward to. I love that.
Great time, right?
I love that.
Why not?
Out of the ballpark by noon.
I guess you got to wake up at like 6:30 if you're the fellas.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's hard to get up and get mentally locked into that.
It's a little little
Like
fresh
start, like not.
Yeah, but you want to be able to move around a little bit. 9:30, you probably want to be waking up, get ready for like 11. Then your body is up and moving. You got to get hot quick at 9:30. But if you're not doing anything, if you're just watching the game, it's great. You just make some mimosas. It's an excuse.
Hour 2 coming at you. We will talk a little bit more about Mason Smith getting back to LSU and some of the LSU football storylines. We will also talk about Joe Burrow as he is up. Contract extension talks in play right now. Burrow, of course, want to make sure and keep enough money on the table to keep all the boys around as well. So we'll talk about how this contract is going to play out for Joey coming up here in the second hour. But I'd imagine $300 million, all of it guaranteed. We'll talk more about it coming up here in the second hour. All of it brought to you by RMB Builders. Come back with us. Rhett Bourgeois and the crew building us up. Remember, hit them on Instagram if you're looking for what their projects look like, whether it's new homes, if you're looking for reconstruction, if you're looking for new additions. Let RMB Builders be your contractor. Rhett Bourgeois and RMB Builders on Instagram and rmb-builders.com online. Hour 2 next.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, locally can help you with any of your home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health insurance today. Give them a call, 225-383-0682, or log online to FourierAgency.com.
Hey, she's on her way up.
Hey, G, I got you something.
Hey, Coach. What do you think? Is this too much?
If you look good, you play good.
All right, then. Let's get it done.
Do you need your roof checked or just ready to get a new roof? Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal has helped over 10,000 customers with their roofs over the last 2 decades. Premier South employs over 300 team members in South Louisiana. They're accredited by the Better Business Bureau. They've been named in the top 100 roofers in the nation for a number of years. And Premier South has former insurance adjusters in-house whose job it is to help get all the insurance money you deserve. So go to PremierSouthLA.com for Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal and get your free inspection.
Premier South Roofing.
Welcome back.
Everybody shut it off. Show's on.
Welcome back here to a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by R&B Builders. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button, if you don't mind, as we are here with you on this Monday. Just recapped LSU baseball's weekend with Doug Thompson. Got an outlook at the SEC tournament with Dougie T. If you missed it, check that out, as Hour 1 brought to you, and our On Demand brought to you by R&B Builders. Remember, Hour 2 brought to you by our friends Katie's at Katie's Restaurant. Katie's Restaurant, located down in the heart of New Orleans on Iberville Street. Been around since 1984. Incredible menu and selections to choose from down from our friend over at Katie's. Scott Craig and his crew have a great wait staff. They've got a great environment. We tell you all the time, if you're looking for the taste of the city, the feel of the city, the sounds of the city, the smells of the city, go check out Katie's, the good parts.
The good parts.
Katie's at midcity.com.
What smells are we talking about?
Katie's at midcity.com.
Get you a little bit of that bourbon water.
Or you can also check out their sister restaurant,
Pooping here.
Francesca's, which is a little deli up on near Why do y'all have Lakeview?
Lakeview.
Katie's at midcity.com. Katie's at midcity.com. Joe Burrow about to break the bank. Burrow's extension seems to be one of the storylines the Bengals are trying to get done here in this offseason. Joey B, I think, is one of only, correct me if I'm wrong, help me out here, I'm saying 2 players in the league that I would fully guarantee contracts for. Patrick Mahomes would be one. Joe Burrow would be the second that I would fully contract, give their. Jalen Hurts is probably in that.
And Daniel Jones
is in that discussion. Is his contract fully guaranteed?
No.
I want to say it is.
It might be, actually.
I mean, Danny Dimes just picked up. He picked up a big payday.
Vanilla Vic.
But really and truly, if we're building a football team today, which Cincinnati is doing,
Wouldn't give Lamar fully.
He got his money up front.
He's working.
Wait, who did you say?
Lamar.
Oh yeah.
I guess yeah. I would put Lamar Jackson in that bunch. I would give. I would make Lamar. What is Lamar? 23 years old. And Joey B's older than Lamar.
Yeah, I think yeah, might be like 23.
And Joe's 23 playing here as like a freshman.
Yeah.
Chill out, Katie.
If he wasn't here as a freshman, we'd have been way better.
Davey gets mad when I bring that up.
What?
I mean,
His age?
At least he flashed a little ass at your place.
Yeah,
he gave you all a full show.
He gave you all a little full show.
Cowbells were never ringing louder.
After dumping 60 on your head.
You don't have to get so defensive about it. The facts are the facts.
Broke the LSU passing touchdown record that day.
Who's that? Derek Dillon that caught that one?
Back at the end zone.
You see Dillon with that 104-yard return
Uh-huh.
in the XFL?
Dude, they're everywhere. Racey McMath, I think.
Everywhere.
Didn't he get a call up from the XFL?
No,
not Racey McMath.
Tennessee.
Who's my other guy that played quarterback?
Russell Shepard?
Oh, John Trey Kirkland.
John Trey Kirkland.
That's right.
Back in the league?
Yeah, big time in the XFL. Hit big.
Oh, yeah. So, Joey B, off-season here. Look, it's time to get this long-term deal done, right? And obviously the market has been set over the last couple of off-seasons here. Jalen Hurts was the latest as he got 5 years, $106 million. Lamar Jackson got 5 years, $156. Daniel Jones got 4 years, $113. Kyler Murray got 5 at $108. I mean, Patrick Mahomes at this point, his contract is almost embarrassing.
Right.
What is it?
It's 10 years, $66 million. And Joey B, they say here, is
they say here
is set to get upwards of $400 million.
Good God almighty.
So Mahomes was 10-year, $450 million.
Right.
Which I think is the avenue that the Bengals will go. I don't know if it'll be 10 years.
I think it's going to be 10 years, and I think the key to it being 10 years is that you're able to spread the money out.
Can stretch it.
And one thing that Mahomes and even Tom Brady showed that when building your football team, and obviously the quarterback going to be the highest paid player on the team, that if you want to stay competitive, if you want to stay winning, then there's ways that you have to do this. There's no way that Joe Burrow can stay Joe Burrow without Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. There's no way that Joe Burrow can stay Joe Burrow without the leadership that they have on the defense and what they're building right now. Who understands that better than Joey B? No one, right? I mean, all Joe Burrow has to do is look at his college team and look at the first couple of pro teams that he's been on. He has been littered with talent around him. He has told you that. He recognizes that. He knows that is the formula to keep winning. Patrick Mahomes can deal Tyreek Evans and still win a Super Bowl. That's what he's looking at. On how these guys, when it comes down to it, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, guys like this that are cut from that mold, these guys want to be the best of all time. That's what their motivation is, not to be the richest guy in the league. And when it comes down to $30 or $40 million, which is a tremendous amount of money. Do not let me disrespect the amount of money that is. But when you got a boatload of cash already in the bank and $30 to $40 million doesn't make that big of a difference to you. If Patrick Mahomes wanted to make up $30 million in this offseason, I'd go on the record and say he could do that. He could call his agent and say, hey, man, I really want to be aggressive this offseason. Get me into as many national commercials as you can. Get my name as far out there as you can. Or here's $20 million. Invest that for me and get me back $100. Is what he can tell his money guy. And he'll be able to make up whatever is lost on the ledger line to negotiation. Burrow the same way. And learning just a little bit about Burrow because we're talking to some of his representation on doing some things with him. Burrow does no national ads. Tells all of his people, don't bring me any national ad. Why? Well, it just doesn't seem that's where the quarterback's head needs to be. You didn't see Brady in national ads until later in his career. 4 or 5 Super Bowls later is when you saw Brady going into national campaigns and becoming more of a household name. Burrow has taken that playbook and is almost playing it page by page. The only thing that he's missing, he's about to get the money. He's got the fame. He just needs the rings. And he knows that. And you don't get the rings by being the highest paid player in the league. You get the rings by being able to spread the salary. And the salary cap in the NFL is about to go straight up. It's about to become a vertical line that's going through the ceiling because of, why? The TV money's about to come in. So the salary cap's about to go, I mean, it's about to be an electricity bolt, straight vertical for all of these teams. So if you're looking down the line, you're saying, hey, you got $20 million to throw at Jamar Chase, right? Which is probably going to be a little bit more. He's probably going to cost a little bit more than that. Burrow's probably going to say, hey, look, I'll sacrifice here on the front end to make sure that you can get Jam the money that he needs over the next 5 or 6. And then you're going to have to pay T. Higgins, right? I mean, I'm looking around the league at some of these wide receiver numbers. I mean, Brandon Cooks makes $18 million. Mike Williams makes $19 million. I mean, Chris Godwin makes $20 million with Tampa Bay. I would take T. Higgins 10 out of 10 times over all 3 of those guys. So he's going to have to make some money, right? Higgins is the first to the table. I mean, outside of Burrow. But after Burrow, the first order of business is going to be T. Higgins. And then you start gearing up to pay Jamar. So Burrow understands this more than anybody in the room that, look, it is a hometown discount for Burrow because he's from that part of the country. But the hometown discount can be made up really quickly if you're Joe Burrow. He knows that. And as, you know, look, $30 to $40 million to all of us is lifetime generational money. In 3 or 4 years, $30 to $40 million to Joe Burrow is not going to mean a lot. It's not going to mean enough to him where he wants to sacrifice his job and not win. He will sacrifice and forfeit the 30, 40 million from his team and know that, hey, look, if I want to become the national spokesperson for, Cadillac, I can. I was just throwing a prominent brand out there. He'll have the pick of the litter of whoever he wants to represent. He can call them and say, hey, I'd like to promote your brand, and you're going to have to pay me $20 million. So Burrow's, he's about to collect. The Bengals are about to shake up, and Burrow's going to construct this contract in a manner that keeps Cincinnati relevant for the entire time that he's there. I mean, he's looking at Patrick Mahomes and saying, copy and paste. Just make sure the numbers fit, make sure the numbers line up, make sure the numbers are respectable, and get the deal done, man. Get the deal done and move on.
The only real, I guess, national deal you could say he has is with Bose, and then he had the Nerf commercial. Do you remember that? Like, those are the only 2 times you've ever seen him. And the Bose is just a post on Instagram.
Well, I think that the Bose is just that he wears those pregame and he gets a social media picture posted of him. It's not. He's not on the commercial.
Yeah.
He's not. Even the Nerf commercial, that was a digital spot. It wasn't a nationally run ad.
That's what I'm saying. That's the closest you can get to him being the spokesman for something. Or, I mean, he's not going the Baker Mayfield route where
a lot of people ask why he's not in the Nissan Heisman House commercials. It's because he has a deal with a electric car. And in that contract, it states that he can't be a part of any other promotion for any other vehicles.
I wonder what they're paying him, though, for just the social media spots, like the Nerf and the Bose.
A lot.
I mean, I know it has to be, but, like, just for doing a spot.
They're not paying him for a spot. They're paying him just to put the headsets on.
In his ears.
Get his picture taken, and ask his social media manager to make sure and post that on game day.
Yeah.
And they're probably paying somewhere they're paying high 6 figures. I would imagine that's a guess.
Yeah.
That's a guess. But I mean, you have to understand, I mean, what his pregame appearance has now turned into.
Yes.
Right? Everybody's looking at what he's
Yep.
wearing. Everybody's taking pictures of what
Mm-hmm.
he's wearing. Everybody's posting what he's wearing. So if it's your headset, if it's your, headphones that are on his ears, that's
It's a huge deal.
great marketing plan.
It
You know
is.
what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, it is.
great product placement.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a great billboard to be on.
Yeah.
So Burrow's about to break the bank, but
Mhm.
he's gonna keep the Bengals competitive. So it'll be fun to see how this offseason shakes out, because I think it's Burrow, Higgins, and then Jam, right? And I think all three of them coming by Joe Burrow are saying must-haves. Like, we can replace Joe Mixon, we can replace, defensive linemen. Get me those guys. Make sure that I've got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And, the first 3 years, they made the NFC title game twice and made the Super Bowl.
And Hayden Pierce does bring up a good point in the chat of their defense has been
really good,
elite,
solid
over the last 2 years where Joe Burrow has been there. So you want to keep some of that structure intact as well. So that's why it comes down to the type of, some people think about this, some people don't. They're like, get me as much money as you can. It feels like Joe Burrow is in that vein of, how can we spread this out to where I'm still competitive? How can we spread this out to where Jam doesn't have to worry about his money because there's a reason we drafted him? I would like to have that offensive line intact. How do we do that to where we can keep signing players, not to have $500 million tied up in me on a short-term, 5-year, whatever deal. Instead, let's go against the cap to where we can have, okay, you can extend me or pay me the way the Saints do it, make it guaranteed money year after year, and move it as part of my contract to where I just get guaranteed money up front. Now you have some more wiggle room with the cap. That's what it feels like Joe Burrow would do, because he doesn't seem like a very big, I need the bag now guy.
No way.
And that's what would shock me.
I mean, Burrow, if you've heard him speak, the money's not the motive.
No.
I mean, it's not the deal. I mean, he knows the money is on his way. He knows if he performs, the money's going to be there. He's already generationally wealthy. I mean,
he's
a
fine
number
already.
one overall pick in the draft is a guaranteed $30 million contract. On top of the endorsement deals that he has signed, he's probably worth already somewhere upwards of $40 million, right? I mean, it's not as if he's living lavishly. You don't see him doing any of these things. He is.
You really don't.
He's one-track minded.
Just the teeth. That's all we've
right?
ever been able to see.
Yeah.
But I mean, what did that served him?
It's a benefit.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it
like
is.
that served what he's trying to promote. I mean, he is the modern day Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That's what he has accepted. That's what his goal, and that's who he is.
Yeah.
And I think he understands that Brady lives a really kind of away from the spotlight type life. Maybe not later in his career, but early in his career when he was doing all the winning.
Yeah.
You rarely heard about. I mean, this guy was dating Giselle, and you never saw him. Right? I mean, they had people that were camping outside of Giselle's Manhattan apartment to get him. I'll never forget. Remember that morning he played? It was either the AFC title game or one of the playoff games, and he had a walking boot on, and he was walking into Giselle's apartment like on a Monday morning. They had played Sunday.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like Saturday during the playoffs, and he was Sunday morning walking in with flowers and a hat pulled down. He had a New York Yankees hat on, and that was the big deal. Like he had a Yankees hat on, so all the Boston fans were going nuts. And I mean, but it was still like Brady, he was dating the most popular woman in the world, and you could never see him.
I know.
I mean, that's hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's tough to do.
It
I mean,
is.
that's difficult to do. And I think Burrow saw that. And while he doesn't, he's not, dating popular supermodels, he lives a life that he can't go out to eat. I mean, he can't walk around. He can't travel. I mean, it's not. I mean, you heard his dad talking about what family vacations are like for him. They don't even know he's coming.
Right.
He'll just fly in, pop in, stay
he
for
would
2 or
have
3
to.
days, and then,
Back to
get
football.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, then get out, and the whole time he's there, he's working out.
Yeah, you never see him doing anything fun, really.
Other
You never
than-
see him doing anything extravagant.
UFC
but
fights.
here's the deal. He is.
He loves
Yeah.
you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, not that I know him well, but got to know him a little bit.
Yeah.
He's having a good
Right.
time. I mean, you just don't see it.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Which
You don't
is
know
so
about
great.
it, right? So, and I think that's, you know, I mean, from the Bengals standpoint, this guy's a dream. You can't pay him fast enough. You know, I mean, the more days that you let go on, the higher the price, the price goes. And like I said, I don't think he's trying to gouge them, but he's not going to be disrespected.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I mean, he's going to be, for one day, he's going to be the top player in the league, you know, and then he's just going to set the bar for whoever's next.
Yeah.
And they're going to jump over it.
What a spot.
That would be the only thing that would probably maybe upset the league in terms of the next, whoever is up after Burrow. If he takes a deal where it seems less than market value, then it's like, well, this is what Burrow thinks he's worth. And then you have other quarterbacks in the pipeline. They're like, well, he did something for the team. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to get my money. And that's what disrupts the flow because you see it go up, up, and up. It always escalates. The next guy always sets the market again, right? And for Burrow, if he takes one that'll probably set the market, but at a extended clip, there's going to be other guys that go to the table and they're going to have agents or other GMs that are like, this is you think you're better than Burrow? This is what he's worth. You're getting $100 million less than that. And that's what will disrupt the ecosystem of the quarterback contract.
Well, I think they're going to stay in line with it. What upset it was Deshaun Watson.
Right.
I mean, Deshaun Watson really threw the whole thing out of whack. So, I mean, you know, these things are just escalators. That's why you look at Patrick Mahomes' deal now, and it's like, wow, this thing is almost outdated. You know what I mean? Like Kansas City's like, we got to restructure this thing without, you know, I mean, like some of the guys that are in front of Patrick Mahomes now is embarrassing, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the best football player on the planet. I mean, he's not paid like it. You know, he's paid very, very well, but compared to the workforce, right? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense on where his contract stacks up, you know, alongside Daniel Jones. Yeah, I mean, it's not even. But Burrow is in that class. Burrow, even without the ring, you know, Mahomes has got the rings. He's got rings. But Burrow's got the Super Bowl appearance, the AFC title game on the backside of that. I mean, in his rookie contract alone, what he has accomplished to me makes him a max deal player without even you don't even second guess it. That's why if you're Cincinnati, you're trying to get this. If you wait another offseason, and you're looking at $500 million. I mean, this guy's he might run you for almost $600 million if you don't get him signed. I mean, potentially could take you back to he could go to Super Bowl twice in his rookie contract. Has that ever happened? For a start, Russell Wilson maybe. Did Russell Wilson go to the Super Bowl twice in his rookie contract?
At least the NFC Championship for sure.
He definitely did that, but did he go to 2 Super Bowls in his rookie contract?
And Tom.
And Brady, yeah. I mean, the list is short, cuz.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But that's since Russell Wilson happened, that's been the model. Is draft a quarterback.
Well, Russell Wilson was kind of the model of play him on his rookie deal, pay the defense.
Right, and that's what the Bengals have done, essentially the same thing, but they've kind of shifted it maybe more towards the offensive side, but they signed Trey Hendrickson. They signed,
Von Bell.
Yes, like the safeties that they brought in. Like they made moves on the defensive end to where, okay, this isn't feasible if we sign Burrow. And that's why I think Burrow was probably in there like, doesn't have to be the biggest deal. I don't have to be the highest paid player. I don't have to be the highest paid quarterback.
Be smart how you spread it.
Right. He probably wants to meet with them and discuss like, all right, how do we work the cap and how do I feel like I'm fairly, you know, compensated for my work, but I still want to be competitive because what's the point of playing the game if we're not trying to win the whole thing?
Absolutely.
Daniel Jones is making more than Pat Mahomes this year.
Gross.
I mean,
could you imagine being Mahomes' agent?
He's making $9.5 million.
Well, how do you turn down 10 years, $500 million fully guaranteed?
But I mean, towards the end of Pat's, like the last year in his contract, he's going to make $38 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They just spread it out.
2031.
Wow.
The NFL won't even exist.
He'll be 36.
Coach, keep him clean. He'll still be balling.
Oh yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how this works with all of the new. You talked about the TV revenue. Now they're going behind like paywalls, and the way that the NFL is generating revenue has changed in terms of all right. Now you need to have Peacock Plus to be able to watch a playoff game. You have to have. You don't know where
Amazon
is going to have a Black Friday game. Like they clearly have thrown player
3 Black Friday games.
Yeah, they clearly have thrown the player health agenda out the window. Whatever, that was like a fun debate to have for a while. Had a guy die on the field like 6 months ago, and they don't seem to care. The machine keeps rolling, baby. And then when you see
It's money to be made here, Lloyd.
yeah,
what
are you talking about? We got bodies. I mean, but when you see the amount of money that the owners have and the amount of money that the players make, it's a disaster.
I mean,
they're making money. It's 90-10.
The NFL is the investment of all investments.
Yes, if you get your
I
greedy
mean, there's a
little hands
reason
on
why
that.
Daniel Snyder is saying, like,
No.
I don't want to go. Don't make me go. But Daniel, here's $6 billion. I don't care, man. I don't want to go.
$6 billion.
Billion.
And he'd be like, but if I hold on for 2 years, it'd be worth 10 after these TV deals. Like, just
I
go
mean,
away.
it's the worst brand in the sport, and it goes for $6 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach, what did the Cowboys sell for? 20?
Cowboys
25?
To take it out of his cold, dead hands.
I mean, but if I'm saying if the Commanders are worth 6,
The worst franchise in the league.
what? I mean, like,
I can't
what are the
imagine.
Eagles? What are the Patriots? Oh, what are the Saints? I mean, like, could you imagine? I mean, what did Jerry Jones buy the Cowboys for? Was it $20 million?
I think it was
I
like
think
20
so.
million.
I mean, that's a.
Oh, I mean, they're gonna have to pry him out of that
Oh,
thing.
dude. I mean, his grandkids are gonna get that.
He will die there.
Oh yeah.
If I was the grandson and didn't get out, I'd be
He's
pissed.
gonna be like, I'm about to die, so I'm driving to.
Why do you think that man's
star.
cleaning his
He'll be in
glasses?
hospice there.
I'm gonna drive to the star and die
He
in the middle
will.
of the field.
He will. His hospice bed will be set up there.
I can't
He'll
wait.
have salt sprinkles on the new logo.
I can't wait for the stories to come out about Jerry once he's passed
man.
because that ledger is long.
Oh, I wish he would write it.
Oh,
I wish he could get to his
be the
point
new
of his library
Bible.
and be like, yo, you want me to tell you what we were really doing?
You know everything. Anna Nicole
Maybe he
Smith.
On those owners meetings, you want to know what really goes on at the owners meetings?
Roger's my bitch.
Come on, come on, guys.
I
Y'all know what
mean,
happens there.
think of like the
Don't circumcise the
three
mosquito.
hard hitters in that room: Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft,
All in trouble.
Oh, jeez.
Lurie from Philadelphia. I mean, like some of these owners that are just like, "Hey, boys, meet me at 10:30."
Yeah, there's another meeting.
Yeah, right. Right. Once all these chumps scurry off to bed, the real meeting starts.
Yeah. Once those 1 billionaires go, it's time for the double
Let Gail and her
billionaires.
crew scurry out of here.
Good luck in New Orleans.
Right.
Oh, you own 2 teams? That's fun.
Who's that new Walmart guy? Let's see if he wants to party with us tonight.
I'm evaluating
Sean
everyone.
Payton's boss.
It's just Succession.
I mean, Sean Payton's hanging out with the richest owner in the league.
And David Tepper in Carolina, and then the richest. I don't even know who the
Walmart.
I know. I don't even know who he is.
I don't either.
That's how
I
you.
just know
That's rich
he's
beyond rich.
He's a degree of Walmart. I know
Yes.
that.
Jimmy Guidry said Cowboys 2022 valuation was $7.64 billion.
I would say it would be more than that.
No, that's what it is on the internet, but that's not sell price. That's
Right.
what
Right.
the valuation is right
like
now.
the
But if you
assets and everything.
But if you want it,
sure,
triple it.
it's worth 7.6.
Yeah.
But when you
That's what I'm making
when you
off of
invest
it.
that 7.6, it'll be worth $200 billion immediately.
His name's Rob Walton.
Rob Walton?
Rob
Sweet.
Walton of the
He's
Walton Penner
He's
Group.
the son of Sam Walton.
Yeah.
Sweet. His checks don't bounce.
No, they do not.
If you get one from the Walton Penner
Estimated-
Group, you go ahead and cash that.
Estimated net worth $60 billion.
Whew. Let's have some fun, boys.
Y'all want to
Sean
buy
Payton. Russell Wilson's in trouble.
it?
Russell Wilson. I mean, Sean Payton. Have you heard some of the comments that Payton is making towards Wilson publicly?
Like
I mean,
recent?
They were
just
sitting at the game
very
together.
annoyed. You know, just like with the way things have been done. You know, like he's been asked questions. The funniest part was the office. Like when he was asked like about the quarterbacks
Yeah.
coach, like being around the building and having an office in it. And like Peyton was like, that's something that we never discussed during our negotiation. And I can promise you that the only people in this building will have a part of the program. You know, like nobody's coming in here outside coaching our group.
Did you hear what he told Ben DiNucci during practice or at OTAs? He's like, hey, Ben, if you keep throwing like that, I know I can get you a job at Walmart.
Exactly.
But-
I mean, Peyton's in a place where he's got that FU to him now. You know what I mean? He's taking bong rips on on open weekends.
I still don't believe that.
That's
It's
definitely
Denver.
him.
It's Denver.
100%.
I mean, it looks just
It's
like
Denver.
I know.
It's
it
not
looks
Denver,
like
it's legal.
him.
Yeah,
It's,
100%.
and you saw him sitting courtside with Russell Wilson, so they're trying to.
Well, I
He's
think
trying, to find
publicly put on the face, but I think behind closed doors, he's like, "Yo, Russ, I don't play this stuff. Like, I
Whatever
don't
you-
play private quarterbacks, coaches, and
Team
Instagram
3,
and all this stuff.
Sierra.
Bro. Like, I don't let Russ cook bullshit. I ain't down with that. You know what I mean? Like,
you gonna cook what
that's
you gonna
not
go cook
fun.
what's on the menu.
If you don't, yeah, exactly. And if you don't cook, you're done. Like, I'm dealing
country.
you. You know,
That's
like it's not even up for debate.
Because guess what I got? I got the highest voting power here. And if I want to go trade up to get a quarterback with Russell Wilson, you can go take him, and I'll take your first-round pick, and I'll do it my way because they gave me the room.
He's coming in there knowing. I mean, like, he was probably looking at ownership thinking, who can I abuse the most?
Russell Wilson.
You know what I mean? No, or just like what ownership? Like, hey, Rob, what do you know about football?
With your $60 billion.
Yeah, right. Like, not much, coach. Like, perfect.
Give me the keys. And John Elway's like, oh, I love Sean Payton. I'd love to play for him.
Right.
But John, hey, strap up.
Yeah.
But if the Russell Wilson, like, that's going to be probably one of the more intriguing off-season, like, season into, because the Russell Wilson last year was, the Denver Broncos are gearing up for a playoff run. Then it was a disaster. They bring in a new head coach in Sean Payton, and Sean Payton's going to do it exactly the way that he wants to. Mm-hmm. And so if it's, and he'll do it publicly.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a spat on the sidelines, and Russell is such a yes man, what it seems like, whenever he talks to the coach, he's very, like, into it and wants to be, rah-rah, the guy, God, everything is, Russell's there for you. He's the leader. Mm-hmm. But there ain't no Team 3 coming in these offices and all that's nonsense.
Yeah, right.
Like, this ain't how it works.
Russ,
I don't know. Because Russell was the power player last year. He walked all over the head coach.
Right.
And he was calling plays from Seattle in the huddle. Like, buddy, what's going on? We don't know that play. And so if that happens under Sean Payton,
he's done.
He'll yank you.
Yeah, he's done. I mean,
DiNucci, get in.
DiNucci.
And Jared Garantano and Jared Stidham. Stidham's probably the one breathing down his neck.
I would say Stidham's probably got the best opportunity.
Yeah, if it's not Russ. I mean, you know what Russell's capable of. He's proven it time and over. But I think he kind of let the brand get bigger than him, and he was just kind of lost.
Oh, he definitely did.
Yeah, he
definitely did.
That ship was lost.
You got an idea of, you see like his reputation in the league. Like you see like Russell Sherman talking about him on the Amazon desk. You see
Richard
the way,
Sherman hates him.
I mean, can't stand him. Like
Richard
openly,
Sherman does not
like
Russell
does not
Wilson.
hide it.
Yeah.
Like cannot stand the guy. Like, I mean, like was like playing like a game of like I told you so.
Yeah.
Like the whole season. Like this guy's a clown. I've been telling you, this guy's a joke.
Yeah, I got no problem saying it because Russell ain't gonna say shit.
He broke up the Legion of
Yeah,
Boom.
I
You
don't
know how much
think
those
any of
guys
them
hate
like
him?
Yeah.
I mean, all of them. They can't stand him. I mean, that team was set to win for the next couple of years.
Yep.
All right, appreciate everybody being here on this Monday.
Didn't Russell Wilson audible the run play?
He did. Well, they say he did. They say he did. But I would
way.
imagine you would hear more. Somebody would be trying to get out of that.
Marshawn would tell you.
Who's the offensive coordinator? Wasn't it? It was Brett Favre's guy. It was Kyle Caskey's guy, who was at. He was at Jacksonville with Urban Meyer. He was Brett Favre's offensive coordinator at Minnesota, and he was on the guy. As soon as you say his name,
I know. I see his face.
I see his face too. Caskey, he hired Caskey at Jacksonville.
We're just all Googling it as fast as we can.
Relax.
Damn it.
It's okay. Sometimes Shane Waldron.
No.
Daryl
Bevy.
Daryl Bevy.
Yeah.
Daryl Bevel.
Bevel.
Daryl Bevel.
What a tough day.
Wonder what he's doing.
Sounds like an XFL play caller now.
What's he ever done?
That's what I would. You know that McMahon is still in the XFL. Greg McMahon, special teams.
What?
He's coaching special teams for the Houston Roughnecks.
I thought he was with.
Bevel is the passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the Dolphins.
There you go.
There you go.
Coaching Tua.
Daryl Wayne.
Who's the Dolphins head coach? McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel. Yeah.
Did you see him at the Heat game?
No.
He was
They
the
had
one
him, like,
waving.
pumping
Yeah,
up
he
the
was.
crowd.
He was the pregame talent.
Hell yeah.
What
And
was
he
he
was
doing?
eating it up.
I
He
love
just
that
wave.
guy.
He just wave a
Yeah.
white towel.
I love that dude.
But he was into it.
Blasting
coach.
the pin on the
Oh,
side.
absolutely. Where do I sit?
Him and
Wherever.
Him and Dabo. Yeah, wherever, coach. All right, hit that like button, share button, comment button. Everybody have a great Monday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Remember, Mic'd Up coming up today. Mikey and the crew breaking down LSU baseball as the Tigers head into the postseason. They will take on the winner of Georgia and South Carolina coming up Wednesday morning, 9:30. If you missed Hold the Rope last night, good discussion with Jay Johnson and Skip Burtman. Make sure and check that out on YouTube. And as we said, hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning here on the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by RMB Builders.
Dash. Yeah.
Who's he out there with?
I have no clue.
Nobody's there yet.
I know.
It's crazy.
Oh, Miami is notorious for showing up late. Yeah.